Welcome everyone to the Moreno Valley Writers Expo 2020. We're so glad that you can join us to support local authors and to celebrate the art of writing. As a reminder, please make sure that your microphones are muted and that your videos are turned off to minimize distractions for the presenter. If you have any questions for our presenter, please type them in the chat box and we will pass them on to him. If you need any tech help, ask Charmaine Mendez from the Moreno Valley Public Library and she will do her best to assist you. Now I'm happy to introduce our guest speaker for this session. James O. Harris Jr. is the author of the children's book, Welcome to the Adventures of Corey's Courtroom. He can be found reading to children at elementary schools and libraries around the Inland Empire. He conducts workshops and seminars throughout Southern California. Currently, he is the library commissioner, chairman for the city of Moreno Valley, and a member of the Moreno Valley Scribes. He currently resides in Moreno Valley, California with his wife of 29 years, and he is a proud father of 2. Welcome, James. It's always good to see you. And I'd like to add, he's a very good friend of mine.
That's right.
For being here. Always good to see you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Barnyard. Like Sharon so eloquently stated, my name is James Harris, and I am the author of my children's book, Welcome to the Adventures of Corey's Courtroom. Before we get started, I just want to thank the Moreno Valley Public Library for hosting me. Charmaine and her staff always does a great job. And I want to thank Sharon for facilitating it. For those that may not know or understand, who and what is Corey, let me kind of give you a brief overview before we get started. Corey lived on a farm with his family, and he wanted to be a judge like his dad, but he didn't know how. So now when he goes into the barn, the family barn, he uses his vast and great imagination, and it magically transforms into his courtroom. And the farm animals then come and ask him what to do, and he tells them who should say, I'm sorry, when they're having problems. The little raccoon there, that's Bailiff Ben. He tells him who's coming to court, and Sebastian, his magic spoon, he kind of talks to him during court. So today in this workshop, I wanted to speak about some of the components of writing a good children's story as well as just a good story as whole. So there's a lot of different components, but I'm probably only going to speak about 2 that I think in the limited time that I have today, and kind of touch on those. And then I'll have a special project for everybody at the end, which is going to be kind of fun. So let's go on to my first point. Characters. When you're thinking about writing a character, a story, these are some of the things I kind of want you to think about. So first of all, you need to know your character thoroughly. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, if you're writing a story, especially if you're writing towards kids or just writing stories in a whole, you have to kind of feel, understand, know, even have a little bit of that character in you. So you have to know how that person dresses. Some people, when they're writing out characters, they put on their hats or they put on, different things just to kind of make them feel like that character. Secondly, your main character should be someone the reader can identify and or sympathize with. So if you can have character, if you can feel for that character, you have sympathy for that character, you will identify with that character. Let me kind of go back to my slide here. Looks like it's, okay, there we go. Also, if you're writing a character, he or she should be near the top age of your intended readers. And what that means is that if you're writing a story for, let's say for 10-year-olds, all right, then you want to write it at that level so they can grow into it. All your other readers can grow into that. You don't want to write it at this level, then they grow out of your story. But what I really wanted to end on for characters is identity of your character. This is really important. It says, identify your character with one or more telling details, physical traits, mannerisms, a favorite phrase, or complete descriptions is totally not needed. But this is what I think is really important. When you're thinking about writing your character and you can use your imagination and go wild, never create a character you can remember, always create a character you cannot forget. Let me say that again. Never create a character you can remember, always create a character you cannot forget. Well, what does that mean? It's kind of counterintuitive. Let me give an example. For those that are old enough to have read Dr. Seuss, and one of his books was Green Eggs and Ham, and he had a character in there. He used to say, I don't like green eggs and ham. I don't like them. And for those who remember the rest of that sentence, it was, I don't like them, Sam I am. So he was Sam I am. Well, technically, that's incorrect grammar because he's supposed to say, I am Sam. But what Dr. Seuss did, he wrote a character that says, Sam I am. And so now he just created a character that not only you can remember, but you never forget, even years later, if you say, I don't like green eggs and ham, I don't like them, Sam I am. So I like this character right here at the top because he's really interesting. And I could write a character about him and make it so maybe perhaps you wouldn't forget about it. So I just really wanted to touch on that, speak on that when we're talking about characters. Okay, I'm just gonna move real quickly, just 1 second. So yeah, so you never want to create a character you can remember. Always create a character you can't understand. All right, so the next component, the next component will be, I am sorry, I dropped my paper, will be conflict. Okay, there are 4 basic conflicts that someone, if you're writing a children's story, you should always have in it. And these 4 conflicts are internal, personal, versus person, environment, or society. So what do I mean by conflict? Well, conflict isn't necessarily a bad thing. Okay, well, what do you mean? Well, by definition, if I say apples, you say oranges, we're basically in conflict. But when you're talking about writing a children's story, if you want to make your character interesting, you have to have some conflict. So think of it this way. If your character is a car, then conflict is an engine that's going to drive that car. So internal conflict, you may have something kind of going on within you. Some people have internal conflicts, but you hear like inner demons or just having something internally. Person to person, that's obvious. Environment, if the rain, the wind, that kind of stuff, because of environment, and society. Society gives you conflicts as well. So when you're thinking about conflicts, think about how can I make the character interesting, because no one's really always good, no one's always bad, but they're kind of a mixture. Let me give you an example. Those who seen the movie Black Panther, okay, there's a character in there called Killmonger. And so Killmonger was trying to destroy Wakanda and fight against Wakanda and take over Wakanda and take over the throne from Black Panther. Well, Killmonger was the antagonist, like the bad guy. And Black Panther was like the protagonist, the good guy. But if you looked at it from Killmonger's standpoint, the reason why he was trying to take over Wakanda was because he felt like he was done wrong, that his father was taken from him. So point of view and perspective also can drive your conflict. So in his mind, he was trying to do the right thing, but he was creating conflict. And if you look at that story, you can see how it kind of played out. So conflict is really good in terms of having your story move along. So don't think it's just bad. It's just something that helps you kind of move along. Okay, so we spoke of 2 things. We spoke of conflict, and we also spoke of character. So in my short time that I have remaining, I kind of want to think about just those two things. So here is what have we learned today? Okay, the strongest children's stories have memorable characters, great conflict, well-developed themes, engaging plots, suitable structure, well-chosen settings, attractive styles, and a wonderful conclusion. Those other components we didn't speak about just for my time that I have remaining, but what I wanted to do is give everyone here an opportunity. Okay, we're gonna have fun now. Now it's time to have fun. All right, so everybody here, you have the opportunity to be a book critic. Like what? You have a book critic. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I am going to read a story, and I wanna hear your input and what you think. How's my characters, how my character development, how was the conflict, and can you kind of see some of it in my writing? I wrote this story in the summer when we were having a lot of protests, not only in this country, but around the world. And so I was thinking, okay, what is it that I can help children understand protests and peaceful protests? And if you have a concern, how does that get resolved? So I'm gonna read just an excerpt from my story, and you get an opportunity to kind of listen to it and tell me what you think. The story is called, "The Call is Justice for All." So I'm gonna pick it up, I'm gonna skip over the actual beginning. So what happened is that Corey was at his house, and he's seen the farm animals protesting on the farmyard, on the farm, in the barnyard. So he called them all in to see, why were they protesting? So we'll pick it up from there when he called in everybody, and now he's speaking to them. So let's kind of hear what they have to say. He looked over the crowd and asked Bo, the black lab, to come forward. Bo walked past Bailiff Ben and handed him his sign. Corey said, "Bo, why are you protesting?" Bo said, "We're protesting because not all animals on the farm are treated the same, and it's a shame. We protest because we want our farm to be the best. Your Honor, the problem is with the doves. They're in charge of handing out the pool toys, suntan lotion, towels, etc. at the farm pool. For years, when my lab friends and I come to pick up our floaties at the pool shack, the doves always give us the ones that are too small. I try to tell them they don't fit, but they give us the small ones anyways. When we complain, they don't listen. They only say, 'We don't need one.'" Corey asked, "Why do they say that?" Bo said, "I don't know, but they told us that since we're Labradors, we're considered water dogs. Our webbed feet allows us to swim and stay afloat, so it doesn't matter if we get the small ones." "But Judge Corey, they gave the large floaties to their geese friends that have webbed feet too. What's up with that? Under the barnyard law, we're all supposed to be treated equally." "Judge Corey, just last week, Bruno, the brown lab, who is not a good swimmer, tried to use the small floaties anyways. Well, he fell off into the deep end of the pool and almost drowned. That was the last straw. So we decided to march and protest the unfair treatment by the doves. We just want to be treated fairly. Our labs matter, Judge Corey." Corey tapped Sebastian, the magic spoon, at the desk, thinking about what Bo said. He asked Kitty Litter to come up front. Kitty was a large tabby cat with orange and white stripes. She was carrying her sign in her paw. The sign read, "My 9 lives matter." He asked her, were you also denied large floaties?" Kitty says, "Heavens, no. You know us cats hate water. All we like to do is lie on the beach and sunbathe. We only asked the doves for suntan lotion, but they only give us a little squirt. When we ask for more, they say, 'You have fur, you don't need all that lotion.' By the end of the day, we end up getting sunburned. I only have 9 lives, and I don't have any to waste. Our lives matter too." Corey saw Minnie Moo Cow in the back of the barn holding her sign. He couldn't read it, so he had her come up closer. She thought she was in trouble. Corey read her sign. It read, "No justice, no milk." He was curious to see why she was protesting. He asked Minnie, have the doves treated you badly at the pool shack as well? Minnie said, no, Your Honor, but the labs and Kitty are my friends. I've seen the doves treat them differently from others. It's true. The doves only give the lab the small floaties when they know they're too small. I ask them why, but they just say, that's the way it's always been at the pool shack. They don't give Kitty and her cat friends enough lotions for their fur either, but they give their dove and bird friends a lot of lotion. The doves show special treatment to those that fly or look like them. We call those with wings as having flight privilege. Your Honor, the funny thing is, I have fur just like Kitty, but I get all the lotion I want. We both have fur, so I don't understand the difference. It may be because my family provides milk to the farm. That's why I get special treatment. For some reason, the doves don't like the labs or the color of Kitty's fur. I heard Bo and Kitty complain to the doves before, but it's like, if you're not a bird, you can't be heard. That's not right. I'm carrying my sign to support Bo and other animals who are not getting fair treatment at the pool. And then Corey says, on TV, Corey had heard something called racism. That's where someone does not like you just because of the color of your skin or how they look. So that's just a brief excerpt of a story I wrote about protesting. So hopefully I kind of demonstrated that you can hear some of the characters and maybe kind of conjure up some images in your mind, as well as could you see, ask yourself, could you see some of the conflict? You know, there's some internal conflict, there's some social conflict, and so there's conflict interpersonal, person to person. And so all those things together, hopefully I demonstrated, kind of lend itself to just a good story that kind of moves and engaging and helps people just to kind of understand your story. So if you're thinking about writing a story, and like I said, at my other workshops, I have more components to it, whether it be plot, theme, style, all these different elements that really help you write a good story. If you want to start off with a good character, and think about your character, and start off with conflict. How can you have some conflict? And I guarantee you, your story will come to life. Are there any other questions at this time?
I love the way you broke it down to a children's level. This is something that they can truly relate to. Great job, James.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I try to think like, how would a child see it? Because I know we see it from our standpoint in terms of we're adults, but how's a child seeing it, and how can I relate a message to them? So thank you, I appreciate that. One of the things I attempt to do is that when I'm writing a story, or when you're actually writing a story, I try to think about what is it that I want them to walk away with. If they don't remember anything else, what is it that I want them to walk away with? And if I read the rest of the story and conclude the rest of the story, is walked away with that, one, you can have differences and you can protest, but that protest needs to be peaceful, and you need to go to the right parties to air your grievances. And that's why Corey brought them in, and they brought to Corey, and he ultimately resolved the issues with them. And in my next book, you might be able to read that. But so when you're thinking about storytelling, just as a whole, even just telling to your kids, whatever, just kind of think of it in those terms. But thank you, I appreciate it.
Hi, James. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. I'm not sure if my camera won't work, but I got my mic too. So it was a pleasure to hear this story. And I have to tell you, your type of writing and ideas are very appealing to me as an adult. So don't be surprised if you have adult readers. I'm looking at the picture and I'm thinking, wow, it just says it in that picture. So I'm really impressed with you. And I'm wondering if we can have a link to how to purchase your books.
Yes, let me see if I can have that. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. It was very interesting. So thank you. And
you.
go Moreno Valley and the library.
Who am I speaking with? I didn't have you come up.
Oh, okay. It's Cindy Finkelstein.
Oh, Miss Finkelstein. Okay,
Yeah, so
Cindy.
it's
Okay,
nice to meet you.
great.
I'm-
Thank you.
but-
Yes, my books on Amazon. So you can get it there. Or here's my contact information, as well as you can follow me on Instagram. Corey does a lot of things on Instagram. My other readings. Thank you. I have a lot of adults that read it because they're going to buy it for the grandchildren or the children, grandchildren, and then they end up reading the story and they're like, "Wow, I kind of like this myself." And so, thank you for your comment.
No,
I
I
really
really
appreciate
believe
that.
that's true because in this time, the way our world is right now, it's a very refreshing reminder of how we should be as human beings. So I just, I'm a writer myself, so I think to myself, I like these little things that I put in front of my face that remind me, we forget some of these things when we're kids, how to
Yes.
behave and how to treat each other with respect. And I think we need to have these reminders for adults as well. So
Yes,
good
ma'am.
job. Good job.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hey, this is Trey and April, and we were just curious how long it takes you from the developmental process to finishing a story. How long does that take?
That's a good question. I usually, if I get an inspiration, and that's the biggest part, trying to get inspiration, I usually go for about 2 to 3 weeks, I guess, depending on the story and what am I trying to get across. Sometimes, like for writers, like Ms. Finkelstein, for writers, you just get a writer's block. You get writer's block. You're like, oh man. But I try to get it while the iron's hot, and I'm a night owl, so I write during the night. I'm up at 3 or 4 in the morning because to me it's quiet and I can have all kind of thoughts coming without any outside noise, and so I try to write when it's not noisy around, when it's quiet, and all my thoughts can kind of come to me. So yeah, so probably about 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3, 4 weeks, depending on the story and depending on the level of difficulty of the story. And what I mean by that is that when I wrote my first book, someone asked me, I had a mother ask me, is there anything about, I could write a story about, at that time, there were a lot of active shooters. I was like, active shooters, in the schools. I was like, wow, can you hand me something so I can speak to my children about, kind of help them not be so scared. So I wrote a story, it's my first book, it's called Run, Hide, and Fight. And he's an active shooter, but he's an active spitball shooter. He's a shooting spitball. So they understand the concept of what you do in an emergency without scaring the kids. So yeah, but thank you. Yes, so about 2 to 3 weeks.
Hey, James, this is Ray.
nice.
Question for you.
Yes, sir.
How did you come up with the characters for your book, the farm animals?
Well, one thing is that the barnyard lends itself to all kind of animals. So I always have a plethora of animals I can kind of choose from, and I try to choose the personalities that I think for the animals that I think they would have for that particular story. I mean, I've wrote other stories that are coming that are from different places. And so I just try to pick the animal that I think that would kind of fit that personality and kind of fit how I think they would be and they would talk. So yeah, I just kind of look around the animals. So I'm always looking at different animals like, oh, okay, I wonder how he would say that or how he would or how she would do something like that. That's a good question. Thank you. I haven't thought about that. Thank you.
Sorry, I was remiss to not mention my beloved wife is with me today as well.
Hi, Brenda.
Hey, James, how are you?
Awesome,
would you
thank
consider dedicating an animal to my name?
Ooh, that's a good one. Let me think about that. Okay, I'll have to ask your wife what animal she would have you to be. Because I wouldn't want you to be Ray the rat or something like that. So I'll have to ask her.
Okay, I'll think about it and get back to you on that.
Hey, thank you.
James, do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
do your own illustrations, or how does that process work?
I work with the illustrator out of the country, and what I do is that I have an image in my head of what I think I would like it to be, and I match it up with my stories. And so then I try to match up my story, and then I try to convey that to my illustrator? And that's a good question, because if you're going to illustrate, you have those characters should be really emblematic of what actually is going on. So that's why in the last clip, let's say, you know, Bo, the black lab, you know, he kind of arms crossed and, you know, he's kind of upset. And you see Minnie Moo, you know, she's more not so upset, but she's trying to just kind of convey her thoughts. And the little brown lab there, you know, he's kind of shell shocked from being fell in the pool. And, you know, Miss Kitty Lady there, she, her suntan's low, you know, she's kind of tan. So yeah, you kind of think, you got to think about that when you think about characters of how do I want to portray this, because once you put it out there, that's how your reader is going to perceive it. And so then that goes with what is it that you're trying to actually at the end say to your readers. And all of this kind of goes into that. So at the end of it, it would be, okay, I kind of get it. That's a good question. Thank you.
Thank you
Okay.
so much, James. Looks like we're out of time. Sharon, will you please close us out?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, James, for that wonderful presentation. I mean, it's so great when you tell a story and that story has a lesson and a purpose. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
And does anyone have any questions for James? If so, just please put them in the chat box and we will get to them.
And so once again, before I sign off, there's my email information, there's my Instagram, and like I said, you can look at Corey on Amazon, or you contact me directly and I'll give you a signed copy.
Okay, thanks again, James. And thanks to everyone in the audience
Thanks,
for being
everybody.
here. Yes, wonderful hearing from some of you. We'll be going on a lunch break from 12 to 1. And then our next guest speaker at 1 o'clock will be S.K. Murphy. So we hope that you will join in with us again for that. And let us know if you need any help registering for that session. And everybody have a great positive day and enjoy your lunch.
Enjoy you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you after